Huh. This might be a bit awkward. I actually crashed while I was in the matchmaker.
Attention! You are entering the combat zone.
Okay.
Get ready for battle.
I seem to have found myself in the middle of the enemy spawn. That's a problem. Gonna go now. Also, I was just... Maybe I'm thinking. I'm thinking here. It may be the problem with this plane is also the fact that it is also worse at maneuvering than the Yak-9 is. Yeah, it's a jet, but it seems like the minute loss of turning speed and just general maneuverability has negatively impacted my ability to actually do stuff. And also, I don't have the 45, so I cannot engage that fucking 262 at all. Let's not do that. I come back here and the first fucking engagement that I have is the one that I'm actually not prepared for now that I have the 37. Still no. Okay, I cannot ram the fascist planes at all. They're jets. They are too strong. We apparently didn't get that while we were copying them. Problem. And also, another thing as well, I don't feel like I'm actually at a really big advantage in terms of speed as well. This thing feels actually very slow, and it's also... The thing that I'm getting at here is the fact that the plane is actually in a really tough spot in terms of maneuverability and damage against its counterparts, and it doesn't really feel like it's standing on the same level as the Yaks do. Like, even the Yak-9U. The Yak-9U, you started to feel the line kinda come back at you, and then maybe you were starting to actually feel a little bit less like you were able to really do stuff. But this plane should be fine, but really it's not. And also, I'm not able to get away from shit right now. What the fuck? This is a terrible start to this game. I might be able to knock out this 262, but as for those fuckers, I think I'm just gonna die again. Yeah, I wasn't gonna outturn them. Holy hell, this is bad. This plane felt comfortable, and then all of a sudden decided to be terrible for a very, very, very long stretch of time. Alright, well, we'll get through this. I don't think I'm gonna get that 4,000 game, though. I think we're basically screwed out of that. But it seems like, now it seems like I'm looking back at this and looking at the 262, I can't engage him at all because I don't have the 45. Now it seems like, now we're falling back on the only good thing is the engagement range about these planes. But it seems like the Su-9 is balanced actually really, really, really impressively. In terms of making that apparent. Because the 37 does the job if you can get close enough. The only problem is, the plane doesn't really have the stuff to get close enough to a lot of the things that it's fighting. He still managed to kill me, even though I killed him before we actually made contact. He still managed to get those shots in there and kill me. Fucking 262. This plane needs help. And I know, probably the 215 is probably off in a bit of a better situation in terms of, you know, its actual alpha damage, because it has 57s and it has 2 of them.
Victory is in sight. Keep it up.
So, while everything gets more difficult as you go up tiers in terms of, like, the enemies being faster or having more durability in general, harder to chew through, I think the 215's probably in an okay spot.
Get it back under our control.
The Su-9 might need a hand, though. Just in pure comparison to the other planes, like, this is not as effective as I wanted it to be. Hopefully the engine upgrades help, but it feels like this plane is really, really hampered by the things that are supposed to be defining features. The defining features are too, well, limited.
We'll soon be unable to provide support. Do you copy? Over.
Like, if the plane was a little bit faster, we'll see what it's like with fully upgraded, and Jesus fucking Christ, where did all my hit points go? They just magically disappeared! Get the hell back here. Okay, just keep dodge rolling so it's impossible to fucking hit you.
That's it. There's no way to break through for you now. You're on your own.
Well, good thing the game's over then, folks.
The enemy force is too strong.
That was a shit game. Moving on. Nothing to say about that. I crashed in. I couldn't really find anything to do, and also it looks like 45, well, we need to put that back on. Okay, yeah, 2000. So, yeah, shit game. Ugh, Jesus. Now we're seeing... Gotta put that back on because the engagement range is becoming the issue here and not the damage output. So it seems like the range is the issue, but it seems like the range is the thing that makes this actually doable, but this plane is really, really, really not in a good spot. This thing needs help. But let's get that last game in here and see if we can actually get that in. Okay, so Alpine Gambit again, but we're actually starting, you know, when we should.
You are entering the zone controlled by the enemy.
You know, we're starting here without being AFK for basically the opening stages of the map and then running into someone we couldn't kill repeatedly. Okay. So, let's try this. Okay, garrison first.
You are approaching the front line. Off we go.
But I hope you see what I'm saying here about the Su-9. You see, the thing about the cannons is that they really need to actually do that amount of damage that they can do, you know, if you hit the target. Because they either become actually an advantage you can rely on, or actually an incredibly limiting factor that really just drags the entire plane down. If they're not good, the plane isn't going to be good. Period. They need to be a decisive advantage that you can count on, or you shouldn't be playing this plane. Which is about basically how all planes should be actually balanced. Unless those planes that are purposely those middle ground planes that aren't really specialists in anything. Though frankly, honestly, and a lot of times, really, I don't necessarily believe in that. Because you see, the planes that are good at nothing, but not bad at anything, well, most people just forget about them. The planes that are billed as planes that are a jack of all trades, master of none, are actually significantly good at basically everything. So, it's kind of a, I suppose, just kind of a, like, sort of a lie at that. When you have multi-role planes in there, acceptable and good at everything, well, if they're acceptable at everything, usually that means they're good at literally everything. Very few things under that sort of trope actually really function like that. And when in wargaming products, you actually see that, well, you see that a lot. You see a lot of things that are supposed to be sort of middle ground things, like, say, medium tanks in general, just run the entire fucking game. I could take out blocks with those. That's interesting. Okay, so let's knock a hole in the IL-10. It seems like, strangely, it kind of feels like I do more damage to ground attack planes, but it's kind of harder to actually get into a firing position to actually use that. It's a strange feeling. But it feels like the strengths of this plane aren't really meshing very well. And it's actually coming off as significantly weaker than the planes that you've been playing at their optimal level. If you go down this line, of course. Me, I just kind of, it's sort of a feeling that I get. This isn't really as fun as the Yak 9 or your, well, fully upgraded Yak 7. I'd like to destroy this, please. Thank you. Well, at least I'm somewhat capable at ground attack, it seems. How did we get that? Oh, enemy bomber. Huh. That makes sense. Ow, tree. Okay, well, at least we've got that, so we're probably gonna win now that we have that. Because the enemy team has also not captured their mining facility. So we've got ours, and they still don't have theirs because they're relying entirely on bots for ground attack. Get back here, you son of a bitch. Okay, now you see, that did a whole lot of fucking damage. Why don't I get more of those? See, that's the thing. I'm hitting things and I don't really feel like I'm getting that much damage out of them. But then randomly you get shit like that. It feels really weird. There's just a few problems with this plane that I can't really pin down as the cause of one particular thing, but it just overall feels less effective. And it kind of just, like, now I might be doing okay, but I may just be down to luck at this point. But it certainly seems harder to get results out of this plane. Like, right now, honestly, I think it's actually going to take me a lot of work and considerable amounts of luck to get a 14,000 medal out of this plane, or ace. I don't think I was already kind of looking at tier 6 like I couldn't, like tier 6 and 7 like I couldn't get those medals anymore because the game was changing at a pace that I couldn't actually, I couldn't really expect to really do very much, or rather do that much like the lower tiers. But it seems like certainly this plane has the issues that are gonna actually hold it back from me being able to actually do that, or at least do it without significant things going my way. And one of the things that isn't going my way is this fucking shooting star. And I don't think I'm gonna win this. Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna win this.
Receiving reports about rapidly deteriorating.
My pilot was dead. I couldn't do anything.
Unable to reach you. Do you read me? Over.
Shooting star, please. This thing. It seems like just because it has 50 cals doesn't mean it actually still hurts people. It can't hurt people. So, and that's a premium plane too. So maybe the shooting star is another questionably balanced premium plane. Maybe you should pick one up while you can. And maybe just that the SU-9 is also just severely at a disadvantage because the turning radius is so shit as well. It seems like the decision to spec this for turning had a positive result in, like, the initial stages, but now it doesn't seem like it's doing very much.
Do you copy? Over.
Because I'm being outmaneuvered by other jets, which should be about the same level of terrible at maneuvering overall as me, but as you look at the tree, you'll also notice things like the Yak 15. Or the Yak 30. What is it named again? I think it's the Yak 15.
Keep it up.
I'll check it afterwards. But that has an 8-second turning time for a jet. That's basically impossible. That's the same turning time, around the same turning time as a fucking Zero. But it's a jet. So realistically speaking, it seems like the balance up here is kind of strange. in the fact that certain things that should be kind of, like, universally at a disadvantage, like, jets should turn worse than prop planes at all tiers. But it seems like certain things, certain class-specific things are being kept, and it feels like multi-role fighters in general are just kind of shit out of luck. Because we are not supposed to be maneuverable, but it seems like we get hit in the head harder with that than we should. And also, we're not all that effective at ground attack either. Like, oh, big shit, I have 2 bombs under my wings. It takes 2 minutes for those to recharge. So I'm not actually, I may get one, like, sortie for, like, 1 ground attack strike when it matters. 1. But that's not gonna win you a game. That might, like, save you in, like, a clutch situation, but that's not gonna build a path to victory. But at least we got a good game out of that one, thank God. That went better. Mostly because I was shooting at bots, and at least the biplanes, or not the biplanes, the monoplanes, the propeller planes, they were exploding. It seems like, yeah, jets are a little bit too difficult to chew through with the 45. But as soon as you start shooting at propeller planes, everything's fine. Very weird. Very, very weird. Another fan. Well, thank you, Sturdent Death, yes? Right? Or wait, Certent Death? Is the one supposed to be an L or an I? I don't know. Maybe it's a T? I don't know. Certain Death? Alright, Certain Death. Right, okay. JG52. I can't exactly remember, but there was a War Thunder group around the VG thread that was going under a JG signature. I can't remember the exact number was, but if you don't know, the JG number anything is Luftwaffe units. But, oh. Well, another one as well. And if you see me in game, feel free to send me a message. I like these. Vinco VC. Yes, good. Right. So, thank you all for that one. But now you see, I'm running into a bit of problems here. It seems like these may be momentary issues that I'm kind of expanding out a little bit too far. Maybe I'm jumping to conclusions here. But it certainly does feel like the Su-9 is not a very good plane against jets. And I think it's mainly down to the fact that the 45 just doesn't seem as effective, and it's taking me more time to actually kill things than actually is, I suppose, in line with the other planes down the line. Like, I could run into a base with the lower tier planes, like the Yak-7 fully upgraded and the Yak-9, and then run into a base really quickly and knock out 3 air defense aircraft extremely quickly, and, you know, capture that and, like, continue rolling. And then even when I get into the massive kill balls, I can fly in really quickly and pick up enemy kills very, very quickly. This plane doesn't seem like it has the same agility. And it's not even agility, like physical agility. It's like agility from lethality. Like the agility that I get from being able to complete a task such as killing an enemy in 2 seconds. And then being able to immediately sight up and move on to another enemy. That's the kind of agility that the other planes had. And that's the thing that I was betting on making this line worth going down. Because if you have a large cannon, basically the thing that's going to make you sort of make the comparison for weapons in like to anything. Large cannons to the DPM planes of, you know, like smaller caliber cannons or more rapid fire guns. The thing that's going to make it, the thing that's going to be the judge of balance is how fast you can kill things and then move on to kill other things. How fast you can complete the actions and then to go off and get more points. The Yak-7 fully upgraded and the Yak-9 and the Yak-9U to a lesser extent, but still pretty high up there, feel like they have that ability to actually just dive into a kill ball and start picking up kills really quickly. And if nobody sights them up in time, they're probably going to run rampant through the entire formation and get several kills. This plane, it feels significantly harder to actually do that. And I think it's down to actually a lot of things. The maneuverability of the plane in general, the turning ability, the general agility in terms of speed, but we'll see what happens when it's fully upgraded. The gun just not having enough damage to really knock the shit out of jets, and while still being limited to the fact that it is still a very, very high precision weapon that you need to score direct hits in order to do any damage at all, with singular shots as well. It feels like the gun also overheats a little bit too fast, so another thing that might be generated, because I still get 3 shots out of this thing, but 3 shots is not worth as much as the 3 shots out of a Yak-9. You're not going to be doing that much more, you're not going to be doing as much damage because the planes are harder to chew through. And so what happens is that I still have an incredibly skill-based weapon here, in terms of hitting things. The only problem is when I'm hitting things, I'm not actually doing the same things it's not having the same effect as the planes of a lower tier. Like, the scale of the combat is also is not doing this thing any favors, but it seems like moving up a tier did not move everything up with this plane. And also, multi-role fighters, I think, are a little bit unfairly treated in terms of, like, well, just their multi-roles. All jokes aside, all roles in the Soviet Union being equal, this thing is not really equal at all roles. It seems kind of deficient, really. And I think the deficiencies are really nagging at it here because we're starting to encounter planes that are incredibly efficient at their jobs. Like, just for comparison, the fucking Shooting Star. Same damn tier. It's a fighter, yeah, but it seems like I shouldn't be that much worse than him. Because we're both first-generation jet fighters, and we're both kind of shit in comparison to everything else. But the sheer fact of the matter is, this thing is a multi-role fighter, and that thing is a purebred fighter. So the purebred fighter gets to win just on the fact that his class says it's better at being a fighter than I am. But looking at my plane, it being a multi-role fighter doesn't really get me all that much. Yeah, it gets me a couple of bombs underneath the plane. The only problem is those bombs, they don't really do all that much. Like, it's nice that I can knock out a single structure with them, but it's gonna take more than a single structure to take out a base. And once I drop those 2 bombs, I am sitting there reloading them for like 140 seconds. It's completely worthless. Like, you'll get it, like, if you happen to have it once, it'll be useful, but it's only gonna be, like, you're only gonna get a chance to use them, like, probably twice in a game. And even then, you're probably never gonna be the deciding factor in capturing a base. You're either gonna polish off the last bit of a base that's already being captured, in which case you're basically stealing points, or you're gonna be trying to initiate, capture on a base, and you're never gonna be able to do it. It's gonna take forever to actually capture that base by yourself. So you might as well not even try. You might as well just fly off and try to do something else. Go into a kill ball and then maybe try to equalize the numbers in that ball and then get those points faster than the enemy can get the points and capture the base like that. You might as well not even fly near the ground. The bombs are there sort of like on the XP-75 that I found, sort of a thing that you can use maybe just like in a pinch. But that's a heavy fighter too. But it seems like this thing, in comparison to that, it might as well be a heavy fighter in terms of, well, for how the multi-role capability is getting you. It doesn't seem like I'm not really good at it at all, and I'm so bad at it that I might as well not even be the role. There's, oh, well, it could do stuff in a pinch, yeah, but I can't count on that. And so I can't count on the ability that the multi-role fighter is giving me, and I'm also significantly disadvantaged against something that's more specialized in being a fighter, purely on class, not analyzing the airframe at all. So I think multi-role fighters in general need a buff to, like, their ground attack capability. Like, it'd be nice if my cannon was actually reliable enough to actually, like, take out those armored targets faster, so I could actually get in there and be a somewhat more reliable at a ground attack. Like, I could be a ground attack plane in a pinch. I don't feel like I can be a ground attack plane in a pinch, because as soon as I hit an armored target, I'm basically useless. So, multi-role fighters need to be adjusted in general. And the Su-9, I think, needs help in several capacities to just... If you're gonna accept the Yak-9, both the Yak-9s and the Yak-7, as the status quo for this line, this plane does not live up to that. So, if we're gonna equalize the lethality of this plane with those planes, this plane needs a buff. But most people would say that the Yak-9s and the Yak-7 fully upgraded overperform, at least in my hands. So, most people would think, well, why would you need to buff it more? We don't need more overpowered Russian cannon clickers, Fonto. But you see what I'm saying here. If we're accepting that the 3 planes that came before this are the thing that we're trying to get, this plane isn't really getting that. So, Su-9, I think, needs help. I think multi-role fighters in general need help. But, on that note, let's see if we can buy that engine now. We can! Good. So that gave us, well, 10 more thrust. But what did that give us in terms of, like, stats? Airspeed and maneuverability. That gave us 30 more to our top speed at, well, both altitudes, 2.5 rate of climb, and optimum airspeed at, well, you know, 9 kilometers. But hang on here. I get 20 kilometers at, you know what, I'm just gonna take the bombs off. Because they're not doing anything. Like, I could use them in a pinch, but every time I've tried to use them so far, they really don't do anything. So, while I could use them and, you know, be more tactical, being taking on multiple roles in a multi-role fighter is disadvantaging me severely for actually being able to do anything, like combat in general, because I can't take on a role, I'm not gonna take on a multi-role faceted plane here if it's not gonna actually be good at the role that I'm gaining by taking the multi-role. Like, if a plane is a fighter, it's sort of like the 262 in general, really. Well, it was so fucking delayed because they wanted to make it a fighter bomber when they needed an interceptor. It's not gonna be good at that, in general, even if you wanted to make the plane do that. So why would you make it do that? No, you would take a more specialized approach to the plane and make it do the one job very well, which is what fighters are for. This thing being a multi-role fighter doesn't really get it anything. It just disadvantages the plane for not really anything to gain, really. So, yeah, multi-role fighters. They need to be more effective, because it doesn't seem like I'm really getting anything aside from disadvantages by trying to take up roles that I can't really be competitive in. That's the thing. Not necessarily doing multiple things is the multi-role fighter. The multi-role fighter needs to be competitive in all facets. It's not. It doesn't need to be the best at all roles, because that would make it overpowered, even though I said beforehand, most of the things that do multi-roles well, and that people remember for their multi-role capacity, they do all of the roles well. And almost to competing with things that are specialized towards those things. So really, the jack-of-all-trades thing is kind of a lie. Like, people like those things because they're good at everything, not because they're average at everything. You like them because they're good, and if they were just average, you'd forget them. So, really, these planes, especially the Su-9, but multi-role fighters in general, as I've been playing them, really, really need to be jacked up and competitive. Like, just in competitive, in stature with the planes that they're fighting. And that's not that big of a problem with the Yak-7 and Yak-9s, because they kill things. They kill things really well. This plane, however, does not kill things very well. So, maybe it'd be nice to have more effective ground attack capability in this plane to offset the fact that I'm not able to really, like, punch really hard with the other jets. But it needs bigger bombs, and it needs, like, but not even just bigger bombs. The entire, like, equipment and sort of recycle times and effectiveness of multi-role fighters, I think, needs to be rethought, because it's not competitive with ground attack planes. And if you're gonna hit me over the head and make me not competitive with fighters either, I'm just not gonna be able to do anything. I'm just gonna fly around like a fucking idiot. The only thing that's really good about this plane is the fact that the damage output from the guns is really, really high. So when you get near things, they have a tendency to explode at a fairly quick pace. But as I've been complaining, the 45 just isn't cutting it anymore. So there are a lot of problems with multi-role fighters and the Su-9, is basically what I'm getting at. And they all need to be looked at if you want my opinion on this thing. Or the line so far. This plane's going to be a bit of an issue to grind through. But hopefully, it isn't that bad going forward. It's still going to be a bit of work, but if we try to work around the deficiencies of the plane, we might be okay. So, I suppose I'll make some adjustments here in terms of things. We'll see how taking the bombs off affects the plane, because it does look like, yeah, I do lose 20 kilometers an hour and 1 meter a second off of climbing time just by having those bombs on. And those bombs don't really do anything for me, so I'm just gonna get rid of them. So, yeah, goodbye bombs. But then, where's my multi-role capacity? It's not there anymore. It's useless. So, this isn't really a multi-role fighter. This is a disadvantaged fighter by statistics. So, Wargaming, if you're looking here and want things to note, please fix multi-role fighters and the Su-9 in particular. I hope the situation improves with the upper tier planes, because they seem like they have, well, more DPM and more damage in general. Like the 211, even though it's got 37s, well, it's got 3 of them, and they have, well, extremely high damage output out of these guns. They basically have the 137 I was using 3 times in the nose of the plane, so that's going to be horrifying. And then once you get out to, well, once you get to the last gun on the list here, the last guns, you basically, essentially get the 45. Because you, like, they have double damage, like, they have double the fire rate, but there's 3 of them. And they do, it seems about the same damage the same amount of time. So they do less damage per shot, but there's more of them, there's more shells flying through the air, which means that there's more potential damage flying out of the nose of the plane. So there's at least that, and of course the 215 and the 57s. Which, well, I hope they're gonna be good. They look like they're gonna be good, but I hope they're gonna be good, because that's, if those don't work, there's nothing to do with the plane. But I think, honestly, hitting things, like, I think I'm going to be able to get good performance out of the 215. The only problem is, I don't think I'm going to get spectacular performance out of the 215. But we'll see what happens there. Hopefully the 211 and the 215 are better than the Su-9. But, yes. In conclusion to that whole big argument, we're running into a bit of a problem here with this plane. Hopefully it's not that bad, it's maybe just momentary, but hopefully there's ways to get around it. But, I think that's it for me today. So, thank you all for joining me on this stretch of the Grindfest. I have been your wonderful host, Phantoman, and I'll see you next time.